In the stillness of an ordinary evening, a man found himself plunged into the depths of an unusual obsession. Zombies, the walking dead, the risen corpses of the departed. His fascination knew no bounds. This man, let's call him John, was a regular guy by all accounts. He had a job, he had friends, he had a family. But when the sun set and the world went to sleep, John would find himself drawn to the eerie glow of his computer screen, his eyes fixated on the tales of the undead. His obsession began innocently enough, a casual encounter with a zombie-themed video on YouTube. But soon the seed of fascination had taken root, growing into an all-consuming interest. He devoured every piece of content he could find, from movies to documentaries, from scientific theories to survival strategies. John's fascination didn't stop at the screen. He would regale his friends and family with tales of the impending zombie apocalypse, speaking with such conviction that it was hard not to get swept up in his enthusiasm. He'd outline survival strategies, detail escape routes, and even discuss the best weapons to use against the undead. Many laughed at his eccentricities. They'd shake their heads in amusement, dismissing his ramblings as the product of an overactive imagination. "John, you're a fool," they'd say, their laughter echoing in his ears. Yet there were some who listened, who shared his intrigue, who believed. One fateful day, as John sat in his room engrossed in another zombie video, the world outside his window erupted into chaos. Screams of terror filled the air, sirens wailed in the distance. His heart pounded against his chest as he rushed to his rooftop, only to be met with a sight that froze him in his tracks. The world as he knew it was unraveling. The very scenes he'd watched on his screen were playing out in front of his eyes. The zombie apocalypse, the subject of his obsession, had become a terrifying reality. But John didn't react with fear. He didn't scream or cry. Instead, he laughed. He laughed like a madman, his laughter echoing above the screams and sirens, a chilling ode to his obsession. In the end, John's fascination with zombies had been more than just a hobby. It had been a prophecy, a forewarning of the chaos to come. His friends and family, who had once dismissed him as a fool, were now living in the world he'd warned them about. As for John, he was ready. His obsession had prepared him for this moment. He was no longer just a man fascinated by zombies. He was now a survivor in a world overrun by the undead. And in the midst of the apocalypse, he found not terror, but a twisted sense of vindication. There's a saying, be careful what you wish for, but in John's case, it was more like, be careful what you obsess over. Because sometimes the line between fantasy and reality can blur. Sometimes obsessions can become reality, and for John, that reality was a world filled with zombies.